Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for finding the time. I'm sure that it's a busy afternoon. And I first will start by introducing myself very briefly. I will send a follow-up email with a brief one bio introduction, so you will have more information on me, but I want to focus today on giving you guys more value and resources and the tools to cope with the stressful and unusual times that we're in. My name is Oksana Espirard, and I am certified business mindfulness and meditation trainer, speaker, and author. And I mostly work with busy professionals, entrepreneurs, C-level executives, and everybody that is stressed right now. So today's goal for us is to find the tools and techniques to de-stress and manage stress. But before we begin, I wanted to do a quick practice. So we'll start with that de-stress component already. So if you don't mind, I'll show you one breathing technique that has been scientifically and therapeutically shown to substantially relieve stress. So the way it's going to go, we'll inhale one time through the nose. And if you feel like you want to try it, then join me. And then we'll exhale through the mouth, like you're breathing through the straw. So imagine that you're having a straw in your mouth and you want to breathe out. So it looks like this. And you will notice that your exhalation will be much longer than your inhalation. So let's take a few deep breaths like that and deep exhalations. Find your most comfortable seated position and inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth through that straw. And again, inhale through the nose. And exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. And now if you feel comfortable, close your eyes as you're exhaling, blowing it all out, and look at your lung capacity. If you can go a little longer and really, really stretch your breath and exhale till you no longer can exhale. Empty everything out. And we'll do 3 more of these breaths. You're inhaling in 1 through the nose, and then you're softly and slowly exhaling through the straw, allowing everything in your body to melt down as you're exhaling. Let your body melt, let your shoulders soften, your face soften. Do 2 more of these breathings. Inhaling, welcoming that fresh air and the energy and new opportunities and space. And as you exhale, relax. Let the gravity take over the body. Let the shoulders get away from the ears, softening the face. And one last, inhaling deeply. And as you exhale, let the remaining stress or anything that you no longer want in your body leave the body. And then the next, inhale, or whenever you're ready, opening your eyes. Adjust yourself in the chair so you can twist a little bit and let your body get awake. So I hope that was good for you. Now that we feel calm and distressed, I want to talk to you about stress. And the 3 things that I want to put it into the framework today, I'll share my screen in just a second, is these really 3 major points that I find are relevant during the times of uncertainty, during the time of stress. And these are the overload, where everything became different this last week. Everything was normal up until 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden our life got shifted all around. And we're managing the family and the business affairs, we're managing people remotely and ourselves working remotely. And frankly, it does a lot of taxation on our brain and the energy levels. And that's what we don't want, because it weakens the immune system and it invites coronavirus into us. So we want to know how to get strong in that. The second component is time. your relationship with time, whether you're feeling like it's not enough time and you have too much to do, determines your levels of stress. And therefore, asking yourself, what is my relationship with time? What is that we need to do to slow it down? And for some people, actually, it's too much time right now. So, what to do, how to invest it mostly productively. And then the last point here is the panic. Is our collective consciousness never ever, at least I don't remember on the point of humanity where we've been in a situation like that. And it is scary and it is fearful. And what can we do on a collective level and a personal level to go through these times in the most graceful manner and long term investments into our well being, into our relationships and connections? So feel free to ask me questions via chat, and I'll be checking in with you. So far, so good. Liking the topics, and I'll start to put together. Great thumbs up. So I'll start giving you a little bit of the tools. So let's start first with the overload piece. We already mentioned that it is a lot on the brain and the body, and from the mindfulness perspective, mindfulness is awareness, it's our ability to pay attention. And here, I want you to pay attention to your mindset. What is going on inside the head, and how are we processing it? And what has been helpful for me in these times of uncertainty is adapting the mindset of tolerance and compassion. I chose the word tolerance and not resilience because right now there are a lot of triggers and a lot of stressors that not necessarily we need to persevere and not necessarily we need to be resilient to, but rather we need to increase our capacity to tolerate more things not going as planned. Nothing is going as planned right now, and therefore our ability to stay present and be with that capacity to welcome anything that arises in the environment and within ourselves to go through these times more gracefully. And the question that helps me to stay in the zone of tolerance and compassion is, there are actually a few, but this one is my favorite, is what have I been taking for granted? We are so used to everything that has surrounded us before, and now it all fell apart. And if we continue to just concentrate on what we no longer have, it will be a tough journey. But if we can start finding the gratitude, oh, I really didn't think how much I appreciate working from the office, and how much I appreciated being in the community of people now that I'm all by myself, or now that I am no longer socializing as much as I used to. So finding what have we been taking for granted and finding the gratitude, because things will go back to normal, things will normalize. But again, you want to come through that attitude with grace and well-being, and we want to keep those stress down. And mental stress is one of the highest challenges that we're going to meet, if not already. Another questions could be along the lines of what goes well at the end of the day, asking yourself three things that went well today. I usually like to do it right before I fall asleep. Or what can I appreciate? What can I be grateful for? So, right now, any points that create this elevated emotion of appreciation and gratitude are highly, highly encouraged, because they're medically proven to increase our well being and therefore strengthen our immune system. Another point on the overload is our capacity to not be on autopilot right now. In the past, we have habits and routines, and we were going in certain directions, and now all of that is broken. And therefore, it's important to realize that it takes us longer and more energy and more mental power to go through any kind of non routine behavior. Yes, we will normalize it in a little bit, but right now it just takes more time. And the only way to combat that and stay focused and stay productive and stay effective is that tolerance that we talked about, but also taking more breaks. But I'm talking about mindful breaks there. If you took a break and you don't feel better, you did binge watching on Facebook or you went to a refrigerator. I'm talking about breathing techniques, little mini meditations, going outside in nature, having meaningful conversations with your loved ones, or even giving a call to your colleague or an employee and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you holding up? Creating that social engagement and social connection. Um, and the last one on the overload point is managing expectations. First of all, is managing your own expectations of, you need to do better, you need to perform, you need to maintain your regular routines and performance and KPIs and all these things and goals that we set up in the beginning of the year. We set up those goals without knowing anything about coronavirus, but now we're putting all this pressure on us to maintain those goals, and they might have shifted. Staying fluid, create those expectations, but also setting boundaries and expectations for your families. Most of people having kids at home, a lot of couples are going back together, and here I have an interesting true story that in Japan they actually noticed higher rates of divorce for the married couples, for the husbands that were going from retirement, they were coming back home. And they started to study why there's such a high rate of divorce among these couples that have been together 20, 30, 40 years. And they've discovered that once the husband retired, they're coming back home. And the wives that are used to having all this space and freedom to themselves just cannot stand that somebody is interfering into their space, that somebody is constantly 24/7 with them. And so there was this high level of divorce. In fact, I've heard yesterday that China right now are going through the same problem. The divorce rates are spiking because people were forced to sit together for 2-3 weeks, and now they just realized that they were not a match. So avoid this by managing expectations and really investing into clarity between the relationships. So I will send you via email, for those that registered, a handful of resources, and there will be one video, Yes I Can, for 2016 Rio Paralympics, and it's an amazing reminder to keep that mindset of we can persevere through this despite all the challenges. So far so good. Before I move into time, all right, wonderful. Any questions? If you have any questions, please type them up into the chat box, or I'll be happy to take any questions at the end of this call. So, and here, by the way, I'll share my screen again just for a few moments to give a kind of like a summary of what I'm talking about. So moving into time. When it comes to time, as I said before, it is the level of your stress that determines how you relate to time. And yes, if you are taking the time and there's not enough time right now, then you will need to use mindfulness tools, meditation tools in order to de-stress yourself and invest into your nervous system. However, I want to speak to the component that now we actually have more time than we did before. And this is the perfect time to reconstruct yourself, the new healthy habits, and adopt these new routines that we wanted to do for a long time. Why do I say that? Is because we're no longer commuting. We're not going to restaurants. We are not visiting clients, and we spend way less time preparing ourselves and beautifying ourselves to be able to work at home. And now is the time when your routines and habits are broken. How are you going to reinvest that time? Many people choose Netflix. Nothing wrong against Netflix, but I propose that because you're on this call and because you're listening to me, that you invested into creating healthier habits and routines. Right now, everything in the chaos and the old routines and habits are broken anyway. So right now is the perfect time, is that storm when everything got destroyed and things were flying all around. So are your habits and routines. So now is the time to rebuild, to reconstruct. And what do you want to take on? So for me, the best is to select 2 or 3 things that you wanted to incorporate. Maybe it's exercise, meditation, breathing techniques, yoga practices, whatever things that you felt like you did not get, or healthy eating, drinking more water, and really sequence them and schedule them on the calendar where you used to have commute times or where you used to have arrangements that now are falling apart. Use that time because you already have that already budgeted into your schedule. But it's very important that you schedule. If you don't have it on your calendar, chances are you're not going to repeat it. Send this as a repeat behavior. And if there's anything in particular with meditation and mindfulness, I'll be hosting another webinar on Thursday, the same times, 11:30 and 3:30. And I'll be more than happy to, and I'll be speaking about the practice of meditation. So if you're particularly interested in that, then that would be a great resource. So, just to go over, and then also I'll share a resource of online platform that you can log in with the practices that I've recorded, and you will be able to do that. So also it is time to recharge and rethink right now, using that time to sleep more, to get rest, to recalibrate, because rest assured, things will go back to normal. It's not going to be a permanent vacation. So how are you going to start that new phase of your life? So, so far so good. Any questions? I think we're doing good on all frontiers. All right. So going to this collective panic, and I want to address that for just a little bit, because right now, at least in the United States, they're starting the testing. The virus has come here, and therefore it is very important to stay informed, but to stay calm. I've listened to the podcast from Joe Rogan interviewing Michael Osterholm. He is the disease detective, or he's the authority of the disease. I highly recommend you listen to that podcast, minus some deer conversation in the middle of it. Just persevere through that, or fast forward it. But then they go back to coronavirus and they actually talk about some really great stuff. And the key point that this virus is not deadly. It's a flu. It's an unusual flu, but nevertheless, unless you are in a risk group, which is the elderly, the compromised immune system, the smokers, people that have high blood pressure, or any other personal challenges that you might have, it is about the immune system. So the best thing you can do if you're healthy and you have been investing in yourself, it's to continue to invest into that immune system. But with panic, we're overloading the medical system, and therefore the people that actually need the care, they don't get it, and then there is more spiral to that. So it's about personal responsibility to ask yourself an honest question. Can I handle it on my own? Can I keep myself safe? And really adapting that mentality. And I wanted to share with you a few things to curb the fear, because fear is what drives those emotional, irrational reactions that we've been seeing and experiencing. The stabilizing breath sets. Breath has been proven medically to significantly reduce our stress response and boost the immune system. So even the breathing technique that we just did, the straw breathing, when you exhale, I always teach in my seminars and webinars, when I was speaking live in public, that if you don't remember anything else about breathing, remember to exhale. When we're holding the stress, when we are holding ourselves tight, we hold our diaphragm. So if you just remember to exhale, melt everything down, relax, do it a couple of times a day, that is already an amazing stress relief tool for your nervous system. And there are other stabilizing sets that I want to share with you from my online platform that I've created, I guess, for this type of purposes when things don't go as planned. And it's this, it's SattvaMeOnline.com. It's SattvaMe online.com. And you can use the code next level, all capital, to get first month free. And I'm going to be uploading more breathing techniques there that you can use to really go through these times, again, with collectiveness, informed but calm, and really taking charge and self-mastery of your emotions and your nervousness and your fear factors, because that's what makes us irrational, and that what lowers down our immune system. And then here, I also want to talk to you about the necessity to supplement and the necessity to help your body. Yes, mindfulness, meditation, breathing, it's all about your internal states and how you control yourself as a self mastery. But right now, in these times, it's paramount that you help your body physically to process these things. And there are a few things that I'm taking right now. So, the oil of oregano. It's antibacterial, and last week there have been a lot of things out of stock, but I got this one in Whole Foods, and it's capsules. It doesn't smell or do anything. You just eat it with meals. The probiotics, especially if you feel that you might need antibiotics, and if you go get the flu, the probiotics are important for the gut flora. Any immune boosters, I just finished this one today. I'm gonna see if I can get another one, but I also received this one, immune system support, from Amazon. It was still available when I ordered it a few days ago. I will be sending to via email the list of those things. So I'm going to send the whole links and PDFs, but anything right now that you can find on holistic herbal immune system boosters, please do. And then if you want to receive this email, but you have not registered for the webinar, that for sure send me a note. And then another things that has been absolutely amazing, and I've been using this for about 4 to 5 months now, that before even the coronavirus, that has been helping me a lot, is mushrooms. These I buy in Whole Foods. There's lion mane, there's cordyceps, there's chaga and rishis, and these are powdered, and they have about 50 servings in each of these things. And what I do, I mix them with what I call my version of the bulletproof coffee of homemade almond milk, and a scoop of each of these, turmeric powder, honey, cacao powder, a tablespoon of coconut oil, and a tablespoon of ghee. And I blend it all, and I heat it up, and I blend it all in the NutriBullet. And it's just been my immune boost things. But it's not only the immunity, it also helps with energy, stamina, endurance, focus, memory, obviously immune system, stress balance. The Rishi's ones is actually stress balance and immune support. So if you want to get one, just get the Rishi ones. And it's really has been making huge difference for me. Even before this whole breakout happened, I would just drink that drink, and then I'll be on fire for the next several hours. As I said, I get this ones in Whole Foods. I will send a link to another source of mushrooms where you can get them in capsules. They were sold out as of last week, but I'm sure when all this passes, there will be, resupplementing and doing all these things. So find resources as they become available right now. My goal is just to create awareness. So, and most importantly right now is that we need to rely on the basic pillars of immunity, which is sleep, nutrition, exercise, and I will add mindfulness to that. Meditation, breathing techniques, anything of that. If you have any issues with sleep whatsoever, I highly recommend you to get this book, Sleep Smarter, Sean Stevenson. I have also used this as an article on LinkedIn. I believe that I'm providing the link to this article in the email, but if not, then look on my LinkedIn profile and the article is there. I also mentioned it in my book, the tips that personally help me. The sleep is paramount right now. This is how we recharge and restore. So if you have messed up sleep, then this is the time to fix it, and it's super, super important. Some people ask me some books on the stress management or understanding stress, and frankly, I don't believe that you need to read a book for stress management. Stress management is a practice, but you need to understand how stress response is impacting your system. And one of the best books that I connected with is this one, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton, that talks about the biology of cell. And we are a system of 50 trillion cells. So if you understand how does the single organism and how that detox, retox system works within our body, then you certainly can understand how this whole immune system is impacted. And then I kind of have to recommend my own book because surprisingly, I wrote it before I even started to talk about stress. But if you have any doubts, or if you feel like you want to do mindfulness meditation, but you don't really have the strong why doing it, I share a lot of my personal stories of how it helped me transform my life. I was not a practitioner. I was not a believer. I never even thought that I will teach any of this. Nevertheless, my journey led me to today, and I shared my journeys and my stories and then scientific approaches through this book. And it's a very interesting read. I read it like 8 times. It's funny. But it gets good reviews and people find it very, very helpful. And there I do indirectly talk about stress, but in a very engaging, fun manner. So, and lastly, that I want to talk about the point of the panic and overwhelm. Right now, please, please, please limit intake of sugar and alcohol. These are high taxation agents on our immune system. And again, coronavirus or any kind of viruses and disease, they impact immune system. So you want to limit that. I know that staying with your stepmother, mother-in-law, and all the kids running around the house, it might demand a glass of wine or something stronger. But maybe some breathing techniques that I'll share with you would be a better alternative right now. So be mindful about your sugar and alcohol consumption right now in these times. It's not forever. You can resume. So I think that is there any questions or anything that you guys want to share on your end? Kind of like I'll sum up a few things and share a few more things that I've prepared. Anything that you want to add throughout your experiences? Alrighty. So let me share my screen again to kind of do a quick resume of the things that we talked about. So I have, Stefan, I have limited my social media use significantly. It helps. Yes, absolutely. We actually talked about social media reducers as apps where you can create the resources where it limits how much time you spend on it. So there are apps for blocking your time on social media. Look into that. So we've talked today about the overload, and the mindset is very important. The self-awareness tools, like what I have been taking for granted, taking mindful breaks, stretching, exhaling, being still is the energy reserve. As I said, we're using a lot of energy right now. So anything that helps us preserve the energy, like sleep, meditation, being in stillness, is highly beneficial for our brain and for our body. Managing expectations with your family and clients and focusing right now on over communicating. This is a perfect time, the chaos and breaking all the habits to reconstruct yourself, adopting new habits and routines. Very important for this whole panic and fear factor to stay informed but calm. If you're not in the risk group, then please manage your own emotions and emotions of others. If you are in the risk group, then making sure that you have valuable resources and support network to assist you. And then the breathing, exercising, focusing on extension and stabilizing, as fear and stress makes us contract. So remember to exhale so you can release that stronghold. And finally, I've shared quite a few immune system boosters, and I'll also share the things what to do with kids on the family frontier. I've talked about if you are interested in practice, there is the online platform. And then lastly, for employees and the groups of people, temporarily until my schedule explodes, I'm offering free de-stress sessions, which are 10-15 minutes, and they're full of breathing techniques and mini guided visualizations and meditations, whatever we feel like. So if you have a team of people that you feel would benefit from that, then you can register on this link, bit.ly/de-stress20. And lastly, this is my contact information. If you have any questions, if I can serve you in any way, please reach out. I would be happy to assist and support, and to the best of my abilities and capacities, and just share how is it going. We're all going through the batches of social isolation. So share how is it going for you, what are the best practices, so then I could also spread them and post and do the whole common sharing. We have 1 minute left. I want to be respectful of the time. Has it been helpful? Anything that you feel that you want to share more? Thank you so much again for joining. Wonderful. You will receive from me a follow-up email with more resources. So look for that email. I will process a replay. I might include actually a replay of last week. I'll decide what I want to do. And then you will receive a PDF with all the links and things that we've talked about. So you don't need to like search too much, but you have some guidance in there. So, and please, please, please share with others, and direct. Let's spread it around, and let's keep ourselves safe and stress-free. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. Have a fantastic day.